James Maxwell, Dr. Ginger Hamster, on the Twitter, and Minds.com. We've been talking about Bachelor in Paradise, where the lady involved claimed she was blackout drunk and couldn't consent to the activity that happened. We'll see what happens in that case. But what happens when a man is blackout drunk? How does that work? You see, typically it's assumed that the man's always the perpetrator and the woman's always the victim, especially when drinking is involved. Well, what happens if the shoe is on the other foot, where the guy is blackout drunk and not passed out? You see, there's a difference. Passed out drunk, obviously you can't consent, right? Blackout drunk is allegedly the state where you've had so much to drink that you're still conscious and you appear to be aware, but your brain is shut off. So you're still conscious, but you don't remember anything. What happens in that case if the man is involved in drinking a little bit too much and gets blackout drunk? Well, in one case, at Amherst College, a student blacked out and accompanied a fellow student back to her dorm room after drinking in February 2012. The guy was the one that was blacked out drunk at this point, right? He doesn't remember what happened. The woman gave the guy a blowjob, okay? He doesn't remember he was blackout drunk. She sucked his dick, obviously without his consent, right? Isn't that what we're to be told? If you're blackout drunk, you can't give consent, right? So she gave the guy a blowjob, and guess who got charged with sexual assault? Can you figure that one out, people? The guy did. Of course he did. I mean, wouldn't you expect that? Here's what happened. The guy's named John Doe. They're not giving his real name here. Accompanied the accuser, who was Doe's girlfriend's roommate. So this is happening in college. So John Doe here was the boyfriend of this girl's roommate. So they went back to her dorm room. The accuser, the woman, performed oral sex on this John Doe guy, who says he was blackout drunk. He doesn't remember what happened. And it says here, Amherst even notes that Doe's account of being blacked out drunk was credible. So Doe leaves the room here after the Hummer. The accuser then texted two people. First, a male student she had a crush on, whom she invited over after a heavily flirtatious exchange earlier in the evening. She wanted to get some hot beef injection, is what happened. And then a female friend. Now, the accuser, the woman, said during her hearing that she only texted one friend to help her handle the assault, as she felt very alone and confused, in quotes. But her texts with her female friend give no indication of an assault. Rather, the accuser, the woman, texted her friend, "Oh my God, I just did something so fucking stupid." She then proceeded to fret that she had done something wrong, and her roommate would never talk to her again because it's pretty obvi. I wasn't an innocent bystander. This is all on a text, right? This is fact. These texts are available to look at. She also complained in her texting that the other man who had come over after the alleged assault had taken until 5 o'clock in the morning to finally fuck her. Okay, so she's bitching about that. The accuser, the woman, found herself friendless after the encounter when her roommate discovered what she had done. So who do you suppose got kicked out of college? It wasn't the woman. See, no. Women are always the victim, even though she did the blowjob. I'm not sure how you can force somebody to do a blowjob. I'm sure it's possible. And of course, that would be assault, right? But not in this case. She willingly gave the guy a blowjob. He doesn't remember he was at the level of intoxication called blackout drunk. And he was expelled. From school. Do you have this in your mind yet? Guy and a girl out drinking, go back to her room, she sucks his dick. He's accused of sexual assault and kicked out of school. What? That's what happened. So John Doe was expelled for this sexual misconduct. Even though he had good reason to believe that his accuser had actually assaulted him, obviously, right? He was not in a shape to give consent, we're told. But it doesn't matter. So it says here in this article in Reason, a judge recently blocked John Doe's attempt to subpoena his female accuser's text messages on grounds that relitigating the matter would impose emotional and psychological trauma on her. Of course it would. Consider the implications of the decision. According to Seattle District Judge James Robart. Does that name sound familiar? Does it? Oh, yeah. He was the guy with the travel ban thing, right? So it says here, a student who believes Amherst violated his due process rights, wrongfully expelled him and ignored subsequent evidence that his accuser, Jane Doe, was the actual violator of the college's sexual misconduct policies, does not deserve the opportunity to make his case because someone else's feelings are more important. The writer writes, whatever happened to believing the victim? Oh, see, it's not. You're getting it, though. You're getting it all wrong here, Reason. Women are always the victim. Men are always the perpetrator. You got to get your head around that, people. So we talked about the incident, blackout drunk, she sucked his dick, there's text messages, evidence that shows perhaps she knew she did something she shouldn't have, and so on. Those text messages were not allowed in the hearing. Oh! We can't have evidence in these Kangaroo Court hearings. By the way, this never went to the cops or anything like that. See, I wonder how that would have held up in a court of law, not a kangaroo court. Oh, let's see. Okay, young lady, you were drinking with this guy. You went back to your room and you sucked his dick, and you're accusing him of sexually assaulting you. Is that correct? Yeah, that would not fly, would it? But it does in the crazy colleges in the United States. Now, you tell me how somebody who was blackout drunk in one case, the case of this Bachelor in Paradise woman, couldn't possibly give consent because she was blackout drunk. That's the claim. Yet here, Amherst believes the guy was actually blackout drunk. He couldn't have given consent, right? But it doesn't matter because he is the one accused of sexual assault. This is not a laughing matter, people. This is the kind of shit that is going on college campuses. Now, I understand to some degree that you want to make sure that victims of sexual assault have their day in court or what have you. And obviously, if a person is a rapist, you don't want them on your campus. But the place to determine whether someone is guilty of rape or sexual assault is not on a fucking college campus. It's in the legal system. Many times, if a woman reports a sexual assault to the college, they don't report it to the police. Don't you find that a little bit odd? Really? Don't you find it a little bit odd? Let's just look at it this way. In one case, the college, no evidence is required. Going to the cops, you might need some evidence before they decide to prosecute. Because in our legal system in the United States, you are innocent until being proven guilty in a court of law. On the college campus, you are guilty before you can prove yourself innocent. See how ass backwards that is? So I wonder, people, why so many sexual assaults alleged are reported only on college campuses and not to the cops. Can you think of any particular reason why that might be? James Maxwell, thanks for listening.